Let's call the park board meeting of Tuesday, May 1st to order. We'll start with the consideration of the park board minutes from the meeting on February 7th. Is there a motion to approve? Or any changes?
I'll move to approve.
Move to approve. Is there any?
Second.
And a second. Is there any changes? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Before we get started, I'd like to welcome Councilman T. Winkle to the park board. Thank you. Taking over for Lee Weiland. So, congratulations and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Okay, next item 3 is the election of the officers. We can entertain a motion for a white ballot to retain the same officers or go position by position if there's nominees for that. So what's your pleasure? Pat?
I move that we go with the same slate that we currently have.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Ron, you're good with that?
Fine.
Pam?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The officers are retained.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Congratulations to everyone. Okay, item 4 is request by the River Valley Girl Scouts to donate a bench in Lakefront Park to commemorate the 100 years of Girl Scouts. And Dawn, you want to stand up at the podium, give your name and address, and tell us about your request?
I'm Dawn Lewandowski. I'm a Hudson resident. And I'm the troop leader for Girl Scout Junior Girl Scout troop. Thank you for taking time to listen to my proposal tonight. This year, the Girl Scouts of the USA is celebrating 100 years of Girl Scouting. Over the past century, through involvement with Girl Scouts, local girls and women have learned leadership skills, personal development, important life skills, and have made a difference in this community. In order to commemorate this milestone, the Girl Scout troops of Hudson would like to donate a park bench to be placed in Lakefront Park so that all Hudson area residents and visitors may benefit. The bench described in the proposal is a 6-foot steel bench coated in dark green thermoplastic with the words Girl Scouts written across the bench. The bench is similar to the blue rotary benches that are in Lakefront Park, and the bench is to be ordered from Pilot Rock, which is the same company that the benches and picnic tables in Lakefront Park and around Hudson are purchased from. The green color of the bench was chosen because Girl Scouts is typically associated with Girl Scouting. And the bench will be sturdy and maintenance-free. And I have a sample of the perforated steel in green to show you. We request that the park bench be placed in Lakefront Park, and one proposed location was selected because it is in a highly utilized area that does not currently have a bench. This proposed location is behind the Lakefront Park bandshell, and it's roughly halfway between existing benches and provides a bench at an interval that is consistent with the existing benches along the paved path. We would like to include a small commemorative plaque on the side of the bench showing the gifting of the bench by the Girl Scout troops of Hudson. And we're working with the same company that provided the plaques for the benches near the Boy Scout Memorial that's in Lakefront Park. The Girl Scouts help to serve the needs of the community through service projects, including making blankets and helping with yard cleanup and raking for the elderly Hudson residents. Girl Scouts are also active in environmental projects, including picking up trash along roadways and planting trees. And despite the cold weather and rain on Saturday morning, several Girl Scouts attended the Arbor Day tree planting at White Camp Park. All of the money donated for the purchase of the bench is from Girl Scouts in ages kindergarten through high school. As you know, Girl Scouts sell Girl Scout cookies each year to raise money for Girl Scouts and for their individual troops. Hudson Girl Scout troops donated their proceeds from almost 1,400 boxes of cookies just to purchase this bench. Because this is a significant contribution from these local Girl Scouts, we would like to ask that the City of Hudson provide the concrete pad for the bench and install the bench. Thank you for your consideration of this donation, and I'll be happy to try to answer any questions that you might have.
Does anybody have questions for Dawn, Pat?
Do you want a motion on the table first and then have it as discussion, or do you want to just have how do you want to do it?
Well, if anybody has questions for Dawn, we'll do that, and then we'll take a motion and then have
Okay.
discussion at that point. So,
Okay.
does anybody have any questions for Dawn? Okay, hearing none. Pat, did you want to make a motion? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve their request.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ron seconded. Is any further discussion? Just want to reiterate, we were all given a policy for placing memorials on public property, and memorials can include benches, and the subject of the memorials shall be limited to a person, a group, organization, or event that is significant to the City of Hudson community, and it is not currently memorialized. So, as you may recall, I believe it was a year, maybe two ago, that we approved the Boy Scout 100-year commemoration with the Boy Scout statue. What I like about this location of the bench is that it's kind of near that as well. I think that's kind of nice to have, if we're going to go that route, to have them kind of in the same area. But that's my thought on that. Does anybody have any comments?
Any concerns, Tom, from your standpoint?
We did look at that location and a couple other locations, and we felt that that one is really a good spot. It's a location that we would probably put a bench in someday anyway. It's, in the area behind the band shell, and you have a great view of the river. Did you want it facing, did we talk about that, facing the river at that point?
Yeah,
Or
most of the benches along the pathway are,
facing out
facing
over
so
to
that
the
you-
water, so.
yeah, right along the pathway.
What would the cost be to install the pad and the concrete roughly?
Generally, we prepare a site like that when we're, then when we're gonna pour curb and gutter or sidewalk, and it's just, probably extra cement that we would use, have left over from a different project. So we get a couple areas ready for benches, and then, it's just a small amount of concrete. It's probably a quarter of a yard of concrete, It's $25, $30, and it's something that we generally have left over from a project, so the cost is minimal.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And it goes to
Thank you.
City
That's a nice
Council
thing.
for
Thank you.
approval at the next meeting.
And the Girl Scouts were in attendance at the Arbor Day celebration at White Camp Park on rainy Saturday, and they did a great job, and thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to item 5, review concessions proposals for sales at Lakefront Park Bathhouse. We have a letter, maybe Deb, you want to highlight this a little bit here?
Sure.
Okay.
As you can see, Chicago Dogs decided that they were not gonna do the concessions this year, so we got the approval to go ahead and put a proposal together again and put it in the paper and on the website, and received one bid back, or one quote from Doughboys. And as you can see, they kind of did an overview of what they plan to serve on their menu, and they're excited about it, so.
Is there a representative from Doughboys here today?
You know what?
I don't
I-
s-
I'm not
okay.
sure that I did see anybody, but
Okay.
they did know about it, but I'm busy,
Right.
but it still may count.
And they're aware of the, isn't it a
Mhm.
5% or 10%?
Yep, they're aware of the whole contract, they've received all the documents.
So are we looking for a motion to move this to Finance Committee then?
Yep.
Okay.
So moved.
Any further discussion?
Question?
Yes.
No, I meant that calling the question on the vote.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
That might be really good.
Item 6, update the Ice Bowl event held on February 11th at Prospect Park.
Tom might want to, I don't know if Tom wants, Tom, were you at that event?
I was not.
Oh, okay. I guess I was thinking you were, it was Lee, I believe.
What day was that?
It
Back
was
in
in-
February?
February 11th.
Hi, would you like to give your name and?
Yep, my name is Kevin Nelson. I am the president of the St. Croix Disc Club. I live at 328 Valley Commons. Again, I want to thank everybody for having us here tonight. I won't take too much of your time. The goal tonight was kind of just to introduce you to our formal club. St. Croix Disc Club was formed shortly after the first of the year, after our meeting with the City Council. Basically, we formed to kind of create a structured task force. A few of our goals: to get a course in Hudson, obviously, promote the sport in the community, and provide a free, safe, and fun activity for people of all ages and abilities. We felt like Prospect Park was a good location for that. It kind of highlighted, Hudson's community and parks. So that's kind of our goal going forward. I do have in attendance Kelly Moore, who is our club secretary. Justin Gilmer, who wasn't able to make it tonight, is our vice president, and Elizabeth Hilke is our treasurer. So, as many of you know, February 11th, we had our first annual Ice Bowl tournament. Ice Bowl is a national, international event used to fight hunger, and support goes to local food shelves. 2011, it raised globally over $275,000 for local food shelves. Our goal this year, our initial goal was $500 and 50 pounds to the local Hudson food shelf, and I'm proud to present today that we were able to raise over $1,500 and 157 pounds of food. And that.
Good job.
way to
Thank you.
go.
Excellent.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys, for your support as well. So, I did want to ask if there's any feedback from the Parks Board, if there was any issues. We want to make sure, obviously, going forward that, we're making sure everything was cleaned up and everything was kind of done as we promised it would be.
Tom?
I didn't hear any negative responses at all. As far as I know, everything went pretty well.
Great, awesome. We had 57 people attend, some from Hudson, some from the west side of the city. So it was we didn't have a lot of time to publicize it, and I think it was a good thing for the community and obviously for our club as well. So again, I want to thank you guys for your support of our club. I know you were a main part of us getting into the council meeting, and we were a little discouraged after that meeting. So I would ask for your support going forward, and if anybody has any suggestions of better locations, or anything that might help our chances of getting this done in the future, it is our goal to get a course in Hudson, whether or not that is Prospect Park, which is our first choice. But if there's land, I know that there was talk of some county land north of the YMCA that was, in my eyes, I thought that would be a great location for it. I did find out today that that's possibly been tabled at this point. So, if there's any suggestions or anything for a better location, we're definitely open to hearing that.
Pat?
Just speaking for myself, but when it came past the park board and one of the earlier times, I think one of the things that at least I brought up at the time is, when you now have an organization, you have somebody who can be responsible for and also correct behavior and take control of. We aren't a parks and recreation department, and we don't have a full-time recreation staff person up at Prospect Park to keep an eye on everything, and if you will. And one of the concerns the neighbors had up in that area was, who's going to keep an eye on what's going on. And I think now that you have an organization behind it, I think that a much stronger chance of going further in the community.
Thank you. Yep, and that was one of our main goals as well, is kind of show that we are organized. We're not just a bunch of kids out there looking to get some extracurricular activities up there. So we definitely see it as a positive for the park, and moving forward, we definitely want to work with the City of Hudson, the Parks Department, and the City Council to make it a kind of a mutual relationship. So.
How many members do you have so far?
We have 7 paying members in addition to our board.
Okay.
Any further questions or comments?
I just want to say, I think the size of Hudson, I think we could support at some point a disc golf course of some sort. We may have to think outside the box a little bit, but I think we shouldn't give up on this yet.
Speaking of the county land, I don't know where that's sitting, I know that they've tabled it, but would your organization consider contributing? You know, cause I know there's a monetary, charge for the city to use that park.
Absolutely.
The parcel land, so I don't know if there was, you know, if your group was willing to contribute to some of that money, if the city would decide to do that at some point.
I think that that's something that we could do. You know, we are in talks with the Rotary Club in town, especially with Prospect Park. They had agreed to do some of the installation and pay for some of the upfront costs there. Somerset put in a course, I don't know, it was a couple of years ago, and you know, they've been very successful. They're actually looking at adding an additional 8 holes this summer to have a full 18 holes there. Each week leagues, they're raising enough money to kind of pay for the installation of that course. So I think it would definitely be something that we could, you know, talk about and probably make happen.
Is there a, when you guys say, do you guys charge every time someone uses it? I mean, is there a fee or?
No, it's league nights. Basically, it's, you know, whether it's Monday nights or Tuesday nights, it's just an event where, you know, local players can come out and play. There's usually a nominal fee, and that goes into course maintenance and you know, into the club's monetary funds.
So would your club be responsible for maintaining the course?
I know that was an issue that was brought up with Prospect Park. Obviously, it's not our park. As you know, stewards of the environment and local citizens, we would definitely have an interest in keeping it clean. You know, obviously, we're not going to have somebody out there at all times patrolling that area, but most likely, you know, somebody within our group, you know, or just a steward of the sport that's out there is always, you know, more than happy to, you know, if something's going on, they'll.
How much do you figure it would take to develop a course? I mean, not trees, but brush and developing better trail systems and.
I don't have that number for you, Tom. You know, I haven't been able to actually look at that land yet. You know, I was hoping to get possibly a map and maybe a walkthrough of that land, but you know, until the kind of the parcel has been seen, I think it's hard to say. But you know, we do have a very willing group and an active group, and we would definitely be willing to help out wherever, you know, our services can be used as far as clearing and installation and things like that. So,
Kurt, who on the council's kind of, is anybody in charge of that? Is the point person of that
That land?
land, yeah, that discussion?
It was voted down, unanimously voted down at our last meeting.
Okay.
So, at this point, it's a non-issue on the council anyway.
Okay.
It wasn't the hang-up money? Was that the
It
bottom
is.
line?
That was a big part of the discussion is,
Right.
That was one of them.
yeah, you know, some of the council members felt we already pay taxes in St. Clair County. So, you know, it had been proposed to them a $1 lease, and they came from 4,000 down to 2,000.
Right.
So, the last offer was $2,000 per year.
Tom, maybe you guys can speak and get them in touch with somebody, or I don't know how we would go at this forward at this
Like-
point, but.
Like I said, the issues at the council level is kind of dead, but I don't know if the county might propose a different
Right.
fee or something. I don't know if they'd counter anything, I don't know. But it certainly would be a great location for it. It's unfortunate.
Well, maybe if there is some other counter proposal, you can keep these folks in mind and maybe.
Sure, if it ever works out, we'll certainly keep you guys in mind of anything that if it develops, that's for sure.
Right.
sure, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item 7, discuss mooring access options. There's a meeting on April 17th. Tom, maybe you want to give us a summary of, and we have a lot of our friends here who use the moors, and
Can we just do a little background, a little history, a little bit? And I haven't been involved right from the start, but a year or so, we talked about access for the boat moorings off of the dike road. So we developed a plan and we set out RFPs for a metal stairway from the dike down to the shoreline. Bids came in last fall very high, and at that time, we decided to just table the issue. We thought the one bid that came in was awful high. So this spring, I think probably at the last meeting, we decided to move forward with the project so we could get something done for safety reasons. After that, we got some calls from some of the mooring people, and they developed a different design for the stairway. Mr. Dennis Kroll came in, and we talked a little bit, and he developed a different concept with concrete steps and a one center railing. Since then, we did have a meeting. There was a few people from that attended, and I guess I'll just turn it over to Dennis, and this group is proposing 5 concrete steps.
We have the prints, we sent them out through email. They went out to all the moors through email evidently Friday.
So I guess that's where we're at, is we're kind of going to Plan B, and
Yeah, just another option. We got talking, and it seemed like there's gonna be a lot of ongoing maintenance, and it's pretty pricey to begin with. At that speed, we would be spending about $120,000 for the 5 sets of stairs that we kind of agreed on way back in, must be 4 years ago or so.
No, we didn't. Sorry,
Well,
but we didn't agree
5
on
years?
5.
Well,
We talked, the number was thrown out and it was discussed, but no decision was made on any amount. We even talked so far as to put in 1 and see how it went.
well, did nothing happen after that?
Nothing has taken place.
I assume
But I don't
that-
think don't assume that we're automatically gonna do 5. I don't think we can
I think
jump
we
to
had them
that
all numbered
conclusion.
like 1, if we had enough money, we'd do 1, and then there was, you kind of placed them
Yeah.
that maybe the second one would go here
I
and the
think we
third.
divided the
It was-
last time we talked about it last fall, we divided the Dike Road up into 5 locations.
Mhm.
And if we do 1, we'd do the center location. If we did 2, we'd do like number 2 and 4.
Mhm.
And if we do, whatever, so that's, we
Branch them
left
out
it
that
at
way, I
that
think is-
depending on the cost
Yeah.
and things.
Well, I think I proposed when I put forth the scheme back then that there'd be 3 to 5, and somewhere after that, I guess maybe I made the assumption that there were 5. 5 was the number, that they'd be every, there would be 10 boats there's 50 boats total. There would be 10 boats to each stair, which seems like a reasonable way of splitting it up a little. And, well, that's just, I guess, what I thought was the understanding.
Dennis, you've come up with a concrete stair proposal here, is that what?
Yeah, I did.
Do you know about how much that would be?
Yeah, first of all, it's 6 foot wide. We talked about 6 foot wide and something like a pipe rail going down the center, so that the time of the year that is spent underwater for the lower part of it, the river is probably up for 4 feet for a month, commonly. Right now, it's up a foot, and last week it was 2 feet. So if you had a rail down the center, you would be fine to use it if the river up for an extended period of time for 5 feet or whatever. The concrete would be low maintenance. I took got some bids for that, and 2 anyhow, and a couple on steel and painting. And we could do this for something like $8,600 per stair instead of $23,000, or about $43,000 for the whole 5 instead of $120,000, and there would be almost no maintenance. There needs to be a little bit more design on the technical side, but
No, who said it would be about 8,600 per stair?
who's going to be?
You said you got a bid from somebody that's.
Oh, I got a couple, preliminary numbers, and
Okay.
I asked a couple concrete contractors I know, and that's kind of, we need maybe
Yeah,
we're gonna do it, I would
Got there
get,
for dirt underneath it, they'd have no way of knowing what they'd have for footings and how many yards they'd have for that yet, so they just gave you a good number.
no, we went down there and
Did
we
you?
measured a lot of things, and,
Okay.
I think Ray Lehman and I went down there after that, and we measured in 3 different spots, the lengths and to the point where I was comfortable with the slope and all of that. I think that when I say there's still a little bit of design left, there needs to be a little bit more investigation of that at the bottom, and I need some technical input on. I have a structural design consultant that I have been using, and he is, well, I hope he's working on it now. We're going to propose anyhow.
Pretty good.
And so anyhow, that's the range, the price range, somewhere in that neck of the woods instead of 23,000. If some other, that's with a contingency. If there's some other requirements for performance bonds and this and that, that's another, you add a little bit of money, 2.5% to that number, and if you only want to do one stair, then it costs a little bit more for design up front because you're not spreading the cost of the design over the 5. But we could figure that out. But that's, those are good numbers. And there's another kind of an additional proposal I had. That included, by the way, the anchors at the top. Basically 10 little pots of concrete with eye bolts sticking out of them.
Okay.
That hopefully would not go very far in a hurricane. Anyhow, when we first started talking about this way back 4 or 5 years ago, the impetus was for the whole thing coming up was the Parks Board just cut all of the brush and kind of cleaned it up. And so all of a sudden you had all this junk showing, and a lot of it. And it's been cleaned up a little bit since, but one of the things that I think would be good to be thinking about is to put some more shrubs there. I proposed, this is an alternate ad, but 5 shrubs on each side of these walkways, 36 inches high, something that's durable and low maintenance. And then a kind of a landing area at the bottom for these boats, dinghies. It's going to be underwater part of the time, but so we have to put something there that'll stay pretty much. I think one of the moorers, Harvey, proposed putting sand there once, and we talked about that I talked about it with several people, and there's a fear that might just go away. It hasn't been proven to, but we talked about other things like concrete and stones of this sort or that, and we thought that maybe some kind of river rock or something that wouldn't be real abrasive for boats, something that you could walk on, could be put in. So take those 2 things, the shrubs and that platform, if you will, or gravel platform, 3/4 to 1.5 inch river rock, let's say. Add those, and you add about something like $1,100 per stair, or $5,500 for the whole thing. And that's if you guarantee the shrubs. So,
Any thoughts or questions for Dennis at this time, or just discussion on this other proposal?
Lots of, are you asking us if we want to do this particular thing, or if we're gonna have staff investigate it further with him? I don't know what you're asking for in terms of a
Just
motion.
kind of your thoughts on, we have the one proposal, we had an RFP, it came back with almost $24,000. Does that still kind of stand, or do we
I think I contacted him after the last meeting, and he said he would hold that price.
Okay, so we have that option. Dennis is offering another possible option that will be more or less maybe $10,000 per location, you know, on the high side. Do we wanna have Tom investigate this a little bit further?
That's what I'm asking, yeah, if, I'll make a motion to do so, to have Tom and city staff take a closer look at it with them and move towards a concrete stairway solution to our stairs rather than the metal.
I have
Direction.
gone,
Hang on, there's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
I want to still have more discussion on this before we do the motion. Is
Well,
this,
we have to.
I
see
can
if there's
rescind
a-
the motion until.
Okay, he
Yeah, go
rescinds
right
it,
ahead.
okay.
is this basically what you guys want? Is this been an agreement within your group?
Mhm.
We've talked about it, and there's,
One thing, Dennis, it's my understanding also that you could colorize the cement.
right,
Or, so it would blend in with the
Mhm.
current look,
Mhm.
and which is similar to the current look at the rest of the park. So just a piece of information that you might add
Hmm.
to that.
I think
Right.
it's much more aesthetically pleasing than a steel stairway going down, because it can tie into the existing riprap that we have there.
Well, yeah, I think it'd be,
And, you know, what I'd like to see, and Dennis has got what proposals for the pads at the bottom and everything else, but I think if funds are an issue, if we could get the stairways in, and it sounds like that might be feasible money-wise, we can worry about landings and shrubs at a later point as well.
mhm.
I agree.
And, you know, the danger is crawling down the rocks.
Yes.
And the stairway would take care of that issue, and that'd be fantastic.
I agree, we should just do one piece at a time, but if we could do a stair for over half the cost, I think we should probably investigate that, a little
agree.
bit further.
Yeah,
So-
I think the city staff should, I'll
Yeah.
put the motion back on the table that we have authorized city staff to investigate it further with them and whatever we have to have for additional design work to get some real honest numbers as to what the stairways are gonna cost to do it in this fashion, and that it's worth investigating.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second, okay. So, it'd be nice to have this before our next meeting, cause we've been
Mhm.
kind of treading water here a little bit, and we need to move, and with the water coming down, June would be a nice time to get this out to an RFP and get this done before,
I,
the
could
summer.
I add something? Maybe I gave you the impression that these numbers weren't investigated. These are what we can do it for, simple as that.
But you can't do them.
I can do it.
No. It's a city project, the city has to do it on city property. We have,
Well, you can,
we have the hoops that we have to jump through
sure, I know.
in order to do a project like that.
Right.
And let me tell you, there's been numerous times where it's been duplicitous and a waste of taxpayers' money, in my opinion, to not just do what you're saying, but we have to authorize a protocol by which
Sure.
they go about doing it in order to do it.
One other little point, one of the moorers called me and left a message, or talked to me briefly before this.
Harvey, can you come to the mic, please, thanks, it's okay.
I've forgotten his name already, but one of his crew members is with the Wisconsin DNR. And the crew member said, you know, they have matching funds for improvements on the waterfront. And apparently his crew member who's with the DNR would be willing to look into that. So his point was, if you allocate funds to do a project, $8,000 or whatever, there's a possibility that another $8,000 could come from the Wisconsin DNR, and he has someone in his crew that would be glad to look into that for you. So you might be able to do some of the other additions you wanted based on that.
Right.
The other thing he wanted me to point out is that, you know, a couple of years ago, we did talk about trying to make the seawall where sailboats could go up to the seawall. There's enough space for about 3 now because it's deep enough, but the rest of it isn't. And you guys came back and said, well, you know, that wall had beach in front of it before. We're not sure whether it'll collapse if you take some sand away. But the point was that, you know, just a foot would make the difference between being able to be there or not. Some of the places are where concrete blocks have fallen off and stuff into the water. I don't know where the kids put them or whatever. If you especially go where the sewer drains go into the water through the seawall, that's where most of the debris is. And there's probably a good possibility that a foot wouldn't make a difference, and then all of a sudden you'd have, you know, places that people could park. So his point was that it might be worth an investment to find out whether you could take a foot off, you know, the engineering or whatever. And if so, that would open that up. Because not only for our sailboats, but, you know, the power boats that come here to go eat dinner and stuff, you know, if they hit their prop a few times, you know, all of a sudden they're parking somewhere else. Right. And it would be nice to have a, you know, a safe place for them to come in. So something to consider.
Okay, thank you. So
Hey,
get back
Tom,
to-
I have kind of a stupid question, but would the bridge support the type of equipment that would be needed to do this project? The bridge going to the dike?
United Bridge?
We did have a couple years ago, Bonestro at City Engineers, at that time, did a study, and we gave them weights and measurements of the fire trucks and the trucks that we need to get over there, but I'd have to investigate the, you know, the weight and the size of a cement truck.
They'd have to have
I'd-
very small loads, probably.
I would assume that they'd have to have minimum loads. I think that's like 4 yards, so that's something we'd have to investigate further.
You're talking about the dredging portion of it?
No, the United
No,
Bridge.
the bridge,
The
capacity
the
issue.
bridge. Okay, so there's a motion on the table to direct Tom to work with Dennis on a solution here, or investigating this concrete solution. And we'll do so before the next meeting, and go from there. So,
To move the process along a little faster, I mean, does it seem like it's something the group would approve? Because the DNR did approve, gave us approval for the last step project. So this is different from that, so we'd have to probably apply this plan to the DNR to get their approval before we move too much farther, you know, to get their approval first. So I mean, if the
My motion didn't
Hardcore.
have a by when on it. It was just authorizing them to
that's
to
true,
investigate it and move it forward
that's true.
along this direction.
Was there another comment?
So Tom, are you looking for a motion just to give you the okay to pursue the DNR approval
for this plan,
for that plan? Would that be better to rescind your motion and direct it that way, Pat?
Well, I think maybe just do that as an amendment to this, an add-on to this, or, you know,
Yeah,
that we're giving them, we're authorizing them to do any background work that they need to do and the staff time to do it, as well as to do the permitting process with the Department of Natural Resources,
Correct.
as it is to do
Investigate costs.
cost to do a concrete stairway as opposed to the metal permitting for the metal stairway that we had before.
I really don't think that they would object. I mean, this one probably looks more natural than the metal
Mhm.
stairway, so.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed? Passes. Item 8, review 2012 park capital projects. Tom, you wanna lead us off on that? Right now, we have, where are we at with Burton Field?
We lost all our audience. We have had a couple of subcommittees, and we've talked a lot about more planning and just trying to get the neighborhood groups, or trying to get citizens in a group to talk about, you know, things that the neighborhood would want. The other issue is gonna be with the ball diamonds. I've talked a little bit to the St. Pat's athletic director, and discussed what are we gonna do with, you know, a lot of probably the most used fields, the usage is by St. Pat's school in the spring, so we would like to accommodate them, you know, at least work with them, so we're gonna go from 2 fields down to 1. So it'd be important to work with the baseball and the softball groups also. As part of the capital request, I did request,
I'm sorry, that is
204
not, we didn't include this is the 280 fund. Remember you asked for that last
Yep.
time? I'm sorry, I didn't do the capital projects. Do you want me to run up and get that?
well, I think we can,
It's in your head?
some of it. but
Okay.
I did
Okay.
request monies for the Burton Field renovation, $450,000. This year, we're kinda, that did not get approved.
Surprise.
We have other projects such as street projects that they feel are a little more important, so we're gonna, well, I did ask that if we could use some funds from the Park Trust Fund from the north of 94. There's a balance of 79, just about $80,000 in there. So from
That's after doing.
from that standpoint, we thought that maybe this year we could do some planning, organizing, and maybe as phase one, we'd have enough monies to
School district.
probably do the playground improvements, which I just been doing just a small survey right around my house, I live right around Burton Field. And most of the comments and feedback that I've gotten is, please fix the playground. So I guess, just the feeling I'm getting from the council, the funds aren't there to do a total renovation. To keep this project kind of moving, I would suggest maybe considering doing a playground renovation this year. I mean, we have the conceptual plan. We kind of know that we have a certain area to work with. I think that would be a great place to start, is try to do the playground renovation this year. Continue to talk with, people involved with the ball fields. Try to, get organized a little better and work with, maybe we can do some fundraising, trying to get some other funds to do another portion next year, so.
Has the council seen the conceptual plan that we've got? Have
Mhm.
they-
I think they have.
And they're okay with it? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, right now it's just a conceptual plan.
Right.
We don't really have a final yet, so, but yeah, we've submitted that to the council several times over the years. But I think it's a good idea let's finalize a plan for the playground, maybe even look at tearing down those big, posts that are there from the old high school football field, for the big old light posts.
And that's something I think we could do, even city staff. I mean, like, if we have another winter like we did last year, we could certainly do some of that in the winter time, or, when we're not so busy, or things like that.
So, who wants to put together a plan for the playground? Is that something that, Deb,
Yeah.
you wanna do? Cause you kind of done that
Yeah.
before, okay?
And I have
We
talked to
actually
some of
have,
the.
we actually do have the measurements that we
Yeah.
got before this, and we kind of almost had a playground kind of put in there, one idea, so there is some ideas out
So
there. We've
maybe
got
you
a
can
file.
bring, a couple of options to the next park board meeting we can
Mhm.
look at, review, add or subtract, and then take, suggest to the council and finance committee that we
Mhm.
direct Park Fund A or Park Trust A fund, to pay for it.
Yeah, we can do-
Would you still like to have me, try to get the, community people involved a little bit, or, I mean, if they'd like a little input on what kind of playground they would like?
There's people using it, might as well put in what the people using it are looking for.
So I'll try to just get some people, and we could, meet and then show them some of the options and kind of get their feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Could we put on the website,
yeah.
Yeah.
please respond with what you'd like to see at the playground, and then maybe we'll get some,
Yeah, we could put
few
that survey
suggestions
back
that
out
way.
there again, maybe revise it a little bit, maybe make it shorter and.
just focus it on the playground and
focus it
see,
on, Yeah,
yeah, we'd like to see us, a
Mhm,
slide or,
mhm.
whatever the case may be.
yeah. I can work on a survey for that.
Any other thoughts?
Tom asked me before the meeting if it would be possible to get some of the ball field type people together from the boosters and St. Pat's to get some more input there. I know there's been talk amongst the boosters, and people kind of feel like, well, they really gonna go ahead with this or not, and what is it gonna look like or not, and what about St. Pat's, and is it gonna be just for girls? And so I think there's still some discussion out there that needs to take place amongst kind of the users of the ball fields. And I'll see if I can't get some of those people together for some input.
Get some
That could
feedback.
probably be more of your subcommittee that you have, maybe though, you know, because it's, you know, to talk amongst Tom and who's on that mic and whoever else, you know, and then bring it to us after.
And I think Steve Wilcox and Ron Milchert, the architect that did actually the conceptual plan,
Yeah.
is on the subcommittee.
And then
Pat?
just-
My question is one of, if we aren't gonna do the major big plan now, and we are talking about doing something with the 2 baseball diamonds that we have now, are we gonna do work on both baseball diamonds, or do we wanna, while we're already talking about doing stuff, do we wanna take out the one, or do we wanna limp it along? I think you guys should make a recommendation back to us along that line too, as to whether or not we demo the other one now and spend the money to convert it to something else, or,
Yeah, because my question is, if we expand the playground or base it on what kind of was drawn out here, is that going to hinder the existing south field there to some degree, that we start to
Didn't-
take away the feasibility of use on that south end?
We just took pretty much the exact measurements of what's there. It didn't
Okay.
become
I don't
bigger,
think
it
it
didn't
was gonna
become
be-
smaller, just,
Upgrade
So it was
what's
more
there.
Just
an
upgraded,
upgrade than
yeah.
it was an
Mhm.
expansion.
yeah, it wasn't an
to-
expansion
Okay.
at all.
Right.
so.
That's a
I mean,
good
that
point, though.
that was what we
Good
did.
point.
yeah.
for-
I mean, I just don't want, you do the expansion and then all of a sudden, oh, you can't use the south
Right,
field anymore.
right.
Well, okay.
And generally, the girls softball, use that south field, so that's
Mhm.
something to
Mhm.
consider also.
Mhm.
It's the north field, I think the 8th grade boys are, hitting them over the fence currently, so that's why that
Moving
field is
them
actually
back.
too small for
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
field.
the thought is
Take
to
'em back to
build,
wood.
the thought is to build one really nice field there, so Randy, it'd be nice to know, we're gonna build one really nice field. Is it a 60-foot, 90-foot?
Well,
What's
given the
the- where's
space we
the-
have there, I think this was drawn to scale way back when, and it pretty much limited to kind of girls softball / Little League. I mean, that's about as big as this one field gets. And so then that restricts it to a certain
Even
age
if you
group.
take away some of that brush or the trees that were gonna be put
Oh,
in.
yeah, I mean, it looks like it could be expanded another 40 feet and you
Right.
might bump up another age group, so to speak. But I guess that's part of what I hear as confusion out there between the groups is, okay, what size field is it? Where is it gonna point in which direction? And so I think we do need to kind of go out there and get some input and sell it a little bit. And
Okay.
Yeah.
I told Tom I would try to get some people together to do that.
Randy, what's your thought? What is it being utilized most for currently?
To be quite honest, St. Pat's uses it more than anybody.
Okay,
And then I would say,
and what, is it baseball and softball?
it's baseball and softball today.
This year, we have a request for full use of it's pretty much Monday through Thursday from Hudson Baseball, is that who it would be? Bill Dunzer's organization?
Oh, yeah, they're out there
We're
every
gonna be
night.
using it every day, so for the whole couple months, and
How about
then
kickball?
kickballs every
Kickball.
Sunday night,
Kickball.
so
Mhm.
they want it
Sundays.
again.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's,
we do have,
It's
it's being used. It's-
I drive by there every day. It's busy every night,
Yeah.
just about.
And a question for Tom, I mean, last year was a, terrible year for ice skating. But has that been the trend the last 3, 4, 5 years? I mean, because that's one question I'm having is, there's a need for skating, but boy, this weather, should we stick all this money in, for something maybe we're using a month, 2 months out of the year?
It was a very difficult year, this last year, and we tried several times, and we lost the rinks several times. And part of this proposal, the conceptual plan is to have an area for the hockey, where the hockey boards are gonna be, and level that area off and either have it concrete, and you could either leave the boards up all year round and use it as a basketball court, or in the summertime. And then when we do flood it in the winter, if we color the concrete white or a real light color, that it'll, won't absorb the sun and melt as fast either. And if we do have it somewhat level, we can probably make ice a lot faster. Where currently the slope of Burton Field, we have to raise it up nearly 2 feet to start leveling it off. Probably over 2 feet. So it takes a long time to build up the rink on Burton Field, where if we have a specific spot leveled off, it'll be a lot easier.
You know, another option is that we talked about a couple years ago about having an ice rink up at Grandview Park and kind of designed it.
Designed it for that.
We could just put the ice skating up there too and not have ice skating here. That's a decision we could talk about.
When they designed it so that there would be, didn't you have to put boards down and then it would slope into there? Then we'd have to have a warming house, portable, something.
It's just, I'm saying it's an option. if
Oh,
we-
yeah, no, I mean, having one
Yep,
that's there is better than not having one because that was in town, that the kids, you know, you couldn't go to it because there's no ice. Well, you aren't going skating, right?
right.
But if it's in a facility that we can maintain ice all winter, they can still go skating.
Right.
Right.
So that's something we can think about is,
Mhm.
do we wanna have skating here? If we do, then we gotta make it work, otherwise,
Yeah, I
Move
think
to
if we're
different
gonna go
location.
ahead and, you know, upgrade the playground, which I think we should do, you know, I think there's funds available to do the excavating and get the skating how we should do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the decision is, hey, do we wanna do more up at Grandview, which long range wise said, hey, that's probably a better option. That alleviates the ability to have to try to upgrade the bathrooms down here in the warming house. So yeah, maybe that's the answer.
But Grandview tends to be an
Not
older
Grand-
group,
Not
adult.
Grandview, I meant in White Camp.
Oh,
I meant,
but
we
there
were
you gotta
talking
drive
White-
to it.
We were talking White Camp, weren't we?
no, Grandview.
Grandview.
Grandview, okay.
You know,
Okay.
because you gotta drive to it. You know, where the neighborhood parks like we have with Williams, like we have with this one down here, really do and are attractant to a lot of people in this part of town.
Mm-hmm.
Their kids go there. It's one of the few places you see kids walking to anymore.
Yeah, well, I'm not adverse to having it at both
No.
places. I mean, this is where we're skating now, but maybe, Tom, what
But
I'm
Tom's
hearing,
point-
what I'm hearing from you is, hey, if we get it excavated, it's gonna be easier to maintain. We'll have better, more consistent ice. And, it sounds like we can only really do one decent baseball field there anyway. So I almost think we should move ahead with the ice skating, the excavation, and the upgrade of the playground. And then, just table the other issues as funds are available.
I'll second that.
That wasn't a motion, but I can make it as a motion.
Yeah.
Well,
I
let's-
think it has to probably be a separate.
Yeah, let's
like
wait and
separate-
see how much it costs for the playground upgrade, then we know how much money we have to work with.
Yeah.
Then we can kinda see, you know, how much the excavating will be for some of the other stuff, you know,
Well, if you look at when we put White Camp in, it roughly was $75,000 for that playground. So that was how many years ago? So we looked at this one, it was probably right around close to the 25, 30. I mean, that was
Yeah.
to fit as many things as we could fit into that area. So, and that's just one
Yep.
design, you know, so.
So we can use Park Trust Day money, right?
yes.
Yeah, I would say, would we fund it from the Park Trust?
Yeah.
You know, the frustration I have is on the park board and relating to the mooring, just sidetracking, it seems like we talk all these things to death and we're looking for more feedback. We're supposed to show leadership and do these things. Nothing's gonna get done unless we say, let's just, you know, the Nike phrase, let's just do it. We know, most of us have a good idea how these parks are being used. We don't have to kick the can down the highway and say, well, let's have a subcommittee, let's do this. I mean, we know we need the playground, we know the ice skating is subpar, let's just get it done.
Okay,
I agree.
yep. That's why I said, let's bring the plan to the meeting here, we'll vote on it, what we want, which option or options we wanna go with. Put it on
And
the
we'll have
webs-
the
put it on the
input from Randy then,
website.
too.
Put it on the website as far as any additional survey. Tom, you can talk to some of your neighbors that live right there, and by the time next meeting rolls around, we'll have a good plan which way to go for some playground
We'll
equipment.
just focus more on the survey to kind of
Yep.
talk about the playground and then we can do some other.
We also have if you look at the update here, we have $171,000 for White Camp Park, basically. What's next on the agenda out there?
We have White Camp, we have Hudson Meadows, Anderson Park. Those are the 3 parks that would qualify for different improvements, so. What's next at White Camp Park?
What's next at White Camp?
I'm not sure, whatever.
Skating rinks.
Well, that's.
It was in the master plan, but
Okay, well, think about that. Can we bring that concept plan in the next meeting?
kid.
Okay, and so we talk about that. And then also, Grandview improvements, there's $11,000 there. Is there anything that needs to be done to Field 5?
Tom's tap.
Field 5 is, it seems like the boosters kinda have taken, pretty much, upgrades on that. Last year, we did take one of the infields up at the softball field diamonds, and we improved that. We, took down the infield and regraded it, and we'd like to do another field this year.
Okay.
I think it
That'll
was
pretty
about
much be
5 to.
gone by this year.
I'm sorry?
That money will be gone by the time you get done with what he's got proposed now.
Okay.
I mean,
So we're gonna take that from the Grandview
Mhm.
Park
yeah.
funds.
Do you want to do that again to one other,
We'd like to do, one infield improvement this year if we could.
okay. But how much is that?
It was in between $5,000 and $6,000.
Okay.
And then we're redoing the roof, and that's coming out of that fund as well, and that's
For
right
the
around
concession stand roof?
Grandview Park building is gonna be.
Concession stand, restrooms.
Yeah,
Okay,
so that's like 3,800.
okay.
Is that part of that 11,000?
So that's pretty much,
All right.
And obviously, the mooring fund that we have there to take care of, so, a few sets of stairs hopefully, so. Okay, so, does anybody have any thoughts or questions on those issues?
The only other 2 items that I think he had on your list, Tom, was the tennis court, basketball court. We're gonna get bids on that for
Anderson Park.
Anderson Park, and that would have to be funded through the Trust A fund, unless donations could possibly.
For Anderson Court, for Anderson Park?
They're crumbling and they're not.
YA.
It'd be B.
That'd be
Oh,
B.
that's, I'm sorry, whichever, yeah,
Yeah.
which,
So,
no, it'd be B.
you're looking at resurfacing that?
Yep, I'm sorry,
Is
B.
that what you're talking about, resurfacing the
Yeah,
court?
and
Okay.
the basketball court, I think
It was,
it's probably gonna be right around, I think you got a quote of between 10 and 15,000 right at the moment. So
Okay.
we've gotta get quotes on that, that'll be at the next meeting.
Pat?
How's the boat launch? We made $11,000 there last year?
Hmm.
And it was flooded so long?
Boat launch, no, we hadn't, we made 38,000, I think.
no, well, last year was a very poor year.
Oh, it was a terrible year, and we
think it
still
was-
made that much?
Yeah, I think we made
That's great.
38,000 compared to 55.
How is the boat launch? Are you looking at having to, with spring now and such a mild flood and everything else, is boat launch in good shape? Are you gonna have to do anything on
We're
Picnic
gonna
Point?
try to, get the, parking lot crack-filled and some maintenance on the parking lot this year. But this year we did, put some different wheels on the dock so we can get them in and out better, so we did that this last, spring.
Yeah.
Because of the rate changes, we have some new signs ordered, we haven't got them yet. And we have, some maps made so it'll be a little clearer to, see where residents, it's a city map, so in outline, so it should be very clear whether you're a city resident or not, excuse me, or
yeah.
township.
And I think to date, we've sold 45 season passes, somewhere around there. And it's not even, May 1st, so this week will be really, really busy with the opener this week.
So season passes are going good. Because of DNR regulations, we had to remove the resident parking signs. There was like 10 spots designated for city
Yeah.
residents.
Why did we have to take those down?
It
That
was
was a
part of the
DNR
DNR requirement.
Well, so what?
Well,
Well, really?
We'll give you a copy
Really,
of
it's
it.
our
We'll give you a
park.
copy of it.
It's our park, I'm serious about this, it's our park, it's paid for and bought by city residents of Hudson, Wisconsin. It wasn't paid for with state monies to get it, it's an asset of the citizens of Hudson. And we went around, and they didn't want us to do it last time, and we told them we were gonna do it, and they acquiesced and we did it. And I think you should take that stand again.
We've argued, believe me,
We're still taking the stand. It's not
Yeah,
over
but
yet.
we'll put them back up until it's decided then against us by somebody other than them.
That was part of the, it was specifically, I think it was specifically stated in that, wasn't it, when the
It's already
last?
agreed to by
agreed.
council.
Oh.
It was, yeah.
Well, the DNR's throwing their weight around with, well, you don't do this, we'll sue you, is what they're basically saying. So,
Great,
know.
I'm sure they'd love to have that in the press right now, in this kind of budgetary time, in these times. They don't want to waste their social capital on a little piddly fight like that.
The other thing that was changed, so they are allowing the launch and leave to still continue for everybody. I mean, whether it's city or non-city. And, so there's new signs that are going up for that, and there's parking ordinances that they can't have trailer parking on any of the city streets or in any of the parking lots. So it's pretty much, if you go down there, you're able to launch and leave, but you can't be on the city streets, so that's another change.
I'm sorry for my rant, but I just think that
no,
it
it's
belongs to the
fine.
people of Hudson.
I couldn't
And
agree more.
I don't care if 10 spaces sit empty all day on real busy days. It belongs to the people of Hudson, and they should be able to have dibs on some of the spaces.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, so capital projects, anybody have any questions or thoughts besides what we've talked about already? So we're telling Deb to bring back playground estimates and the White Camp Park plan, so we can look at that for this year as well. We'll see what's next. And we have the stairways for the mooring units. That's coming back at our next meeting, hopefully. And Ron?
Just had some other business, a group of us from the Noon Rotary Club got together and we went up to Prospect Park. The original thought was maybe to improve that stairwell. Looks like that's probably not as high impact as what the club was looking for, but the discussion was to do some benches up around, the point up there. And I think that's got some traction, so Tom, I don't know if anyone's communicated that with you yet.
I haven't heard of that one yet, but.
And also maybe even doing, maybe doing a little bit of landscaping around there, a little better, versus just, if it's class 3 or whatever you have up there, maybe even doing, some pavers or something along that line. So that was probably about a month ago.
Okay.
And I'll probably know a little more on that by the next meeting, and we'll probably have to have a
Yeah,
little
because
sit
if
down.
you find out and it's gonna be, then at least we can put it on the agenda as accepting the donation, because we kind of have to comply still with the memorial
Right,
policy
no,
as a
and this is all
donation.
preliminary.
Yep.
I mean, this is just discussion,
Okay.
is what they're looking to do, Deb. So, I mean, they're not saying,
Mhm.
hey, we're ready to write a check, but that's, I mean, that, originally the money, the story was to go down on, the Dyke Road and
Okay,
the pavilion down there, and was,
I think
it's been 7-8 years, so.
we could still use some help with the roof at the pavilion, right, Tom?
Oh, we talked about it for
At
last
Prospect,
year or
yeah.
so.
Yeah, but again, the club is looking for something that's gonna have a little higher impact. I mean, I agree, I'd just soon have them do the stairwell but
I know, I just want to make that clear that
I
we should
understand.
use some help with that, if they're able. So,
So that will probably come back on the next agenda, Deb.
okay.
awesome. Okay, item 9, project updates, park projects, Tom.
Well, we've been pretty busy with the parks. I don't know if you've noticed that we did some cleanup of Corky's Pier.
That looks nice.
Some of that was just from buckthorn and undesirable undergrowth, and one other reason was we needed to have a little better access to get that one fishing pier in and out. There's just stuff in the way, so. And the other thing we improved was access for, from the parking lot down to the fishing pier. A lot of people, there was a couple requests from people that have wheelchairs and things like that, so we improved that. After we did some of the brushing and clearing, then we got requests from Lake Malu Homeowners Association that they'd like to contribute some trees for to put back in because they wanted a little more barrier between them and the boat parking lot. So we looked at that, and we did plant a couple river birch, clumps of river birch in there that you can, I think that was a good pick, and a couple willow trees that actually will probably thrive in that area. So a couple spruce trees we put in there. This last week, we had Arbor Day celebration at White Camp Park. We planted 15 or 20 smaller Norway spruce trees and 3 ceremonial larger trees. There was a clump of white spire birch and some Redmond linden. There was a gentleman that lives down by Clifton Hollow. Alan Hansen is his name. He actually donated 75 to 100 3 to 4 foot Norway spruce trees. We've been busy planting them all week, along with some of the ones on Arbor Day. We planted about 6 down by the band shell, 3 on each side. We planted, 20 or 30 up in White Camp Park, several in Williams Park, and we're planting probably 20 or 30 tomorrow. That should finish them off up at Prospect. So we've been very busy with trees, and the price is right. So this past winter, we took and cut a few dead trees down that were in the parks. I don't know if you remember last summer we had a DNR grant that we did a tree survey, citywide tree survey, and street or boulevard trees and park trees. The survey included that there was 350 risk trees that should be removed. They're rated from a 0, which is dead, to 1, 2, 3, 4. This year we concentrated on the 0s and 1s, and between the tree service and the city staff, we removed all the 0s and 1s from the parks. And we're starting to do a few on the city boulevards the next week. So we did that. Other than that, we've started mowing a week or so ago, and I guess things are starting to roll. We're going to have the restrooms open probably this week. I guess that's about it.
What about this here?
Oh, just for an update, the city council has addressed an issue with some docks down on off the lakefront walk path from the swim beach toward St. Croix Street. There's been some ongoing issues. The city, when they purchased the land many years ago, really didn't address the issue with docks on there. They were just, they were there prior to the sale of the land, and they're still there. So now the city is trying to decide, what to do with the issue. There has been no decisions made. The city staff has, we took a survey, we sent it out to property owners along First Street, so we had that information. There's been a couple meetings with the DNR, and we got the DNR regulations, and it's just waiting to be discussed further.
And what would the survey that was sent to homeowners consist of?
It was just, do you own a dock, or do you have dock on city property? How large is your dock? Do you have any legal documentation that you can have a dock on city property? Things like that.
Pat?
Survey?
I forget, Tom hit in his
Oh.
last go-around the questions I had.
Is this gonna be, either you or Kurt,
guess
is this gonna be
referred-
referred back?
To the finance,
Referred
they
to us
decided
at
last
all?
meeting.
No, it won't come back to us.
I got a question.
It never came to us, so it
Never
should,
came
It's
to
on
us.
parkland.
yeah.
It should be it should come to
Well,
us.
That's my,
It was, well, they didn't have meetings. We had to move quite quickly, and that's just how.
But it still
it
should
was
come to
handled.
us.
I think there was a couple
That's-
meetings that were
that's why you got the
canceled, and
update.
this came up, and
Yeah.
there was a couple park board meetings that were canceled, and it
Mhm.
Yeah, they
Didn't
were-
the
unfortunate, but.
Yeah.
council refer it back to finance at the last meeting?
Mhm.
Yeah.
well, we'd like to have a say in,
Yeah, it should
what's
come to
going on
us.
there, so maybe Kurt, you could bring that up if it comes to the next meeting, that we feel like we should have a discussion about that here.
Because we've known about it. it isn't a super surprise all of a sudden
Right.
that, Tom, you know, back when I was chairman, we were talking about the fact that it was a skeleton laying out there that was gonna get uncovered, and it has.
And I think last year, you know, there was some directives that were given to the Public Works that we were supposed to go down and do some, trimming in that area, and then what that, then, you know, how one thing leads to another, was we discovered, I don't know, a whole bunch of canoes that were, canoes, catamarans, kayaks, paddle boats, things that were docked, you know, chained up to trees down on the Orange Street, right at that little primitive boat launch. So when we cleared all that out of there, that just opened up another can of worms, and then, things, just one thing led to another.
I was just getting at, when you go to the council with it, it isn't that the Parks has been unaware that that wasn't there. It was just an issue that we hadn't really, past two mayors I had brought it up to, that it was out there, and it was a can that just kept getting kicked down the road that didn't get dealt with. But now's the time it should get dealt with. But I think Park Board should have a say.
Yeah, and I don't think we meant to exclude the park, it's just that we had a couple meetings that were canceled in a row, and things had started, so.
Yeah, and even the fact that it went to finance, that's not normal. But because of some recusing that has to happen, that's where they can get the most members to actually vote on it, so. Because originally it had been talked to go to Public Works, and that's where I wanted to see it go, and I was not on the voting side that decided to send it to finance, but that's where it's going next, so.
Okay. You want us to leave that lay, Mr. Chairman, or do you want us to say, as
Well,
members of the Park Board, say something?
I'd like to maybe make a motion that Finance Committee, that they send it to Park Board so we can discuss
I don't know that
the
we can
issue.
do-
I'll move that.
I don't know if we can do a motion, and that's not, like, listed
I don't know if it's on
specifically.
the-
It's
It wasn't
just
on the
on-
agenda, we can't.
I mean,
Alright.
Not an, no,
Sorry.
we can't. It wasn't a subject on the
I
agenda.
mean,
We
I don't
didn't
know
take
how
any action on
quickly
it.
they're gonna act on it. We can,
Would people from the Park Board like to attend the, you know, I mean, the meeting if there is decisions to?
Oh, please,
we'd
email
like
us.
to- We could certainly include you next, if there's gonna be any decisions made, or.
Yeah,
Well,
here, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Pat, since you've been involved with this and have, you know, I'm aware of it too, what's your opinion on what's the answer over there?
There's not a good answer that's gonna make anybody happy.
Right.
But
But,
we were talking before the meeting, how do you tell somebody who lives at Fourth and St. Croix, or, you know, anywhere else in town, that they can't park their boat down on city property like anybody else? I mean,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't know how you get out of that box, you know? And everybody who has owned property along there for any period of time has known that that was the case, and whether people were told one thing or another when they purchased makes no difference, but, you know, Dwayne Baki's still alive. He was the one who did the trade for Norlake with Dan Regland, and I was on the park board then, and, you know, the land came to us via the trade with Norlake when we made the swap with them to expand the back of their holdings behind the warehouse building onto the railroad right-of-way property. And there's a whole story behind what took place, but they ended up with everything that was west of the right-of-way in the land west of it, from Norlake on north. They swapped us that land. Randy, you were on then. They swapped us that land to increase the size of the property they had behind them, because the old right-of-way came right to the loading dock area of their building, so you could easily load out of boxcars when the train was there. And they wanted that flat right-of-way behind there to make that land more usable to them, and they gave the city then everything out to the water behind them
Mhm.
and the land north of Orange Street on the other side of the right-of-way.
Is that building being utilized?
It's for sale right now.
It is.
Yeah.
That was
Which
what's
is
on
another
his-
subject
what's
before
next.
we
Well,
end.
we'll go that here quickly, just maybe, the next finance committee, if you, Tom, maybe you send out an email when that is gonna be, and,
Okay.
we could ask the committee to refer it back to park board, where it should be discussed, so.
March 15th.
The next meeting is the
March.
15th due to the elections, so
May
I don't know if it's on
15th.
that agenda yet, I haven't seen
March
it.
16th.
They're gonna talk about
Should
a long
be.
time.
I haven't
May 15th.
seen
Okay,
it. Yeah.
May
Is that a
15th.
council meeting? So they're just gonna bring it up at prior to the council?
Right, Finance committee
Finance
gets
gets
prior.
prior to.
Okay.
Mhm. Hey, Tom, you had some other things here?
Generally, whenever some property becomes available adjacent to park property, we try to notify the park board. So currently, there's 3 properties along the walk path next to First Street. 721 First Street, 811 First Street, which is the old Norlake building, and 1015 First Street. So there's 3 homes along First Street right now.
Actually, the park board is on record way back and notified all the landowners along there that we wanted to be able to acquire, but it's, park board's been on record wanting everything from the dike to the old horse bridge on St. Croix Street.
Is there, still that grant program that allows for purchase of parkland, or purchase of property for park purposes? Is that
Well, we
D-
purchased
DNR?
land acquisition up there and some different, I don't know what the requirements are, you have to look into it and see if there's anything, and Tom would have to talk to them.
It'd be nice to, see if there's some DNR grant money available to.
For land acquisitions?
Yeah, 'cause the first one, the 721, it was like, well, is there a price on that?
That
yet?
one's just actually
Offices.
north out, right across from the FIP.
Offices for Park Drive.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the closest one to the park, correct? To, the bathhouse?
Yep.
Yeah.
And she just, and
It'd be ideal to try and get some grant money or whatever to get that first spot there, and I think it was like 100 and some thousand,
Well, it's
wasn't it?
valued at 130.
132, it says is assessed value.
Well, assessed value.
Don't know what they're asking, but
Well,
I can see if there, if there's grants and when they're due.
okay. Anything else, Tom?
I think that's all I have.
Okay, does anybody have any, other items for future agendas for discussion? No? Hearing none of that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Interesting stuff.